The towering glass windows of the corporate skyscraper reflected the morning sun as Nathan Harrington, a powerful billionaire CEO, strode through the lobby, his mind consumed by meetings, mergers, and the relentless pursuit of success. His world was one of control, of carefully calculated decisions where emotions held no value. But just as he was about to step into the elevator, a small voice cut through the hum of conversation. "Daddy?" His breath hitched. Nathan turned, and for the first time in years, his carefully built world cracked. Standing just a few feet away was a little boy, curly-haired, wide-eyed, and unmistakably familiar. But it wasn't just the child that sent a chill down his spine. It was the woman standing behind him, Emma Carter, the woman he had walked away from, the woman he had never expected to see again. Hello, dear viewers. Thank you for being here. If this story intrigues you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another heartwarming and inspiring tale. Tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. Now, let's dive into this unforgettable journey of love, second chances, and the power of family. The fluorescent lights in the towering Harrington Enterprises building buzzed softly, casting a sterile glow over the marble floors. Emma Carter adjusted the strap of her worn-out purse and tightened her grip on her son's small hand as she stepped into the vast lobby. Her heart pounded, a silent prayer forming in her mind. Today was already complicated enough. Bringing Oliver to work wasn't ideal, but after the babysitter had cancelled at the last minute, she had no other choice. She crouched down, smoothing a few stray curls on Oliver's head, and gave him a firm look. "Remember what we talked about. Stay close to me, no running, and don't touch anything, okay?" Oliver nodded eagerly, his bright blue eyes filled with innocence. "Yes, Mommy." Despite his promise, his little fingers twitched with curiosity as he took in the towering glass walls, the bustling executives in expensive suits, and the sleek furniture that seemed too pristine to touch. To him, this wasn't just where Mommy worked. This was an adventure. Emma exhaled, pushing away her worries. She had to stay focused. Rent was due, groceries were running low, and this job, no matter how exhausting or thankless, was keeping them afloat. She led Oliver toward the supply closet tucked away in the corner of the main floor, where she retrieved her cleaning cart. It was heavier than usual today, the wheels squeaking in protest as she rolled it onto the shining floor. As she bent down to adjust the mop, she felt Oliver's fingers slip from her grasp. It happened so fast, a blur of movement from the corner of her eye. She barely had time to react before she heard his voice, high-pitched and filled with joy. "Daddy!" The word echoed across the grand space, bouncing off marble walls and stopping conversations mid-sentence. A hush fell over the lobby. Emma's stomach dropped as she whipped around, her breath catching in her throat. Oliver had run straight into the arms of a man stepping out of the executive elevator. The man's posture stiffened at the unexpected. Contact, his sharp features frozen in shock. He was tall, impeccably dressed in a navy blue tailored suit, his dark hair swept back with effortless precision. The moment he looked down at the child clinging to his leg, his entire world seemed to tilt. Emma's pulse roared in her ears. No, no, no. This wasn't happening. She rushed forward, heart hammering against her ribs, her hands shaking as she pried Oliver's small arms away from the man. "Oliver, what are you doing?" Her voice came out too high, too breathless, but Oliver just looked up at her, puzzled. "Mommy, it's Daddy." A sharp intake of breath came from the man standing before them. Emma dared to lift her gaze, locking eyes with the one person she had never expected to see again. Nathan Harrington. His piercing blue eyes, the same shade as Oliver's, were wide with disbelief. The powerful CEO, the man who commanded entire boardrooms with a single look, stood there utterly speechless. Emma felt lightheaded. The weight of this moment was suffocating. She had spent the last 4 years making peace with the fact that Nathan Harrington had walked away from her life forever. She had built a life where he didn't exist, and now, in the span of a single breath, that illusion was crumbling. Nathan finally found his voice, though it was hoarse, almost uncertain. "What? What did he just call me?" Emma swallowed, hard, the words lodging in her throat like broken glass. She needed to get out of here, now. Forcing a tight-lipped smile, she hoisted Oliver into her arms, ignoring his protests. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Harrington. He must have mistaken you for someone else." Nathan didn't move. He didn't blink. His eyes remained fixed on Oliver, his usually unreadable expression now clouded with something she couldn't quite decipher. His lips parted slightly, as if forming a question he wasn't sure he wanted the answer to. Oliver, still perched on Emma's hip, looked from his mother to Nathan, frowning in confusion. "But, Mommy, he looks like me." A stunned murmur rippled through the employees who had stopped to witness the spectacle. Emma felt like the walls were closing in. The last thing she needed was for this moment to turn into office gossip. "I really need to get back to work," she muttered, adjusting Oliver's weight in her arms and taking a step back. But Nathan moved forward. His voice, no longer uncertain, now carried an unmistakable edge. "Emma." The way he said her name, it had been years, yet it still sent a shiver down her spine. She shook her head, her grip on Oliver tightening. "We don't have anything to talk about." Nathan's jaw clenched, his hands balling into fists at his sides. His eyes flickered back to the little boy in her arms, and when he spoke again, his voice was low, demanding. "Is he mine?" Emma's breath hitched. "This wasn't happening. I told you, I have to get back to work." She turned on her heel, making a beeline for the nearest hallway, but Nathan's voice rang out behind her, sharp and unrelenting. "Emma, don't walk away from me!" Her steps faltered. A part of her wanted to keep running, to grab Oliver and disappear before this turned into something she wasn't ready to face. But deep down, she knew this conversation was inevitable. She turned back slowly, just enough to meet Nathan's gaze one last time. "I already did," she whispered, and with that she walked away, leaving behind the man who had unknowingly abandoned his own son. Until now, Emma's footsteps echoed against the polished floors. As she rushed toward the exit, Oliver held tightly in her arms. Her heart pounded violently, her pulse a chaotic rhythm in her ears. The air inside Harrington Enterprises suddenly felt suffocating, thick with memories and unspoken words she had spent years trying to bury. She needed to get out, needed to breathe, needed to escape Nathan Harrington before he shattered the life she had built without him. Oliver squirmed slightly in her grasp, his small voice tinged with confusion. "Mommy, why didn't Daddy come?" "With us," Emma swallowed hard, her grip tightening around him as she pushed through the revolving doors and stepped onto the bustling Manhattan sidewalk. The cold air bit at her skin, but it was nothing compared to the chill settling deep in her chest. She forced her lips into a smile, pressing a quick kiss to the top of Oliver's head. "Sweetheart, you're mistaken. That man isn't your daddy," she said, keeping her voice gentle but firm. Oliver pulled back just enough to meet her gaze, his brows furrowing in that way that made him look far too much like him. "But he looked just like me." Emma's throat tightened. He wasn't wrong. Anyone with eyes could see the resemblance, the same piercing blue eyes, the same sharp jawline. She had prayed for years that Oliver would take after her more, that he wouldn't carry so much of Nathan in his features. But fate had been cruel, and now here they were, standing on a crowded sidewalk, her son's innocent words unraveling everything. She set Oliver down, kneeling to his level. "Listen to me, baby. Sometimes people look alike, but that doesn't mean they're family, okay?" Oliver hesitated, then nodded slowly, though the doubt still lingered in his eyes. Emma forced herself to ignore it. Grabbing his hand, she started walking quickly toward the subway. The sooner she got Oliver home, the sooner she could pretend today had never happened. Nathan stood frozen in the center of